All right. Good morning, everyone. This be your captain speaking. This will be the first installment on 12 spiritual principles to begin and to guide you on a spiritual journey. So, this will be number one. The very first thing that you have to have occur in your life is one that, well, the first one is admission. Okay, you have to admit, first off, that there's something missing, that there's a void, that we have to admit that something just isn't right. It doesn't matter. And this isn't just for people who have problems with drug and alcohol addiction. This first principle of admission really is for anyone right now. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of shit going on in this world. You know what I'm saying? And it makes you kind of wonder. All right. For me, the captain, there was a point in time in my life where I got to a point where I had to admit that there was something wrong. You know what I'm saying? That there was something missing. The captain had, due to, and let's face this. I'm going to be somewhat generalization here, but the captain has lived a life that not many people get an opportunity to, or that would actually have survived. All right, as a spiritual pilgrim on my journey, all right, I got to a point where I didn't have any hope. I came to a point of powerlessness. I came to a point of hopelessness. There was nothing manageable about my life. Not that there is today either. All right. Part of that is because of my environmental and social programming that I bought into. But in my life personally, there were circumstances that occurred. They were out of my control. There were situations and circumstances that were in my control. They were choices that I made that put me in the predicament that I arrived at. And when I got to this point of getting to the point of where I could admit something ain't fucking right. There was an emptiness within me. I was carrying many shades of guilt, condemnation, shame, loneliness, despair. Had a sense of abandonment. But yet I had a desire. Somewhere deep within me, I knew there had to be a solution. I knew that there was an answer. I didn't know where. You know, shit, I tried drugs, alcohol. I did the great American thing, you know. Got a wife a couple of times. Had the 2.2 children. The house in the country. Didn't have a picket fence. I didn't like fucking fences. But you know how it is. The great American dream that we're sold into, this consumer-minded based mentality. And I'll go into that a little bit later. But I got to a point where I got nothing. My illusions of reality were shattered. I had nothing. So it was at that point, all right, that I was finally able to admit I got nothing. Everything I've tried to do didn't work. It would cover up for a while. It would ease the pain, the discomfort, but nothing worked. There was no peace. I had no peace, and there was no serenity. There was no hope. And it wasn't until I admitted that there was something wrong, that this whole experience that I was living was just batshit insanity, that I decided to make a decision, to choose to make a change. All right, to begin your journey, you have to get to that point where you come to a point where you understand that this shit ain't right. That it isn't that there's something wrong with me, but there's something missing. That there's a void, and I've been trying to fit all these, whether it was the drugs, the alcohol. We can even throw the captain's coffee mugs in there, okay? And although the captain really enjoys them, and is an integral part of the captain's life, all right? That's not what satisfies the captain. I enjoy it. And until such point as I don't enjoy it anymore, then I'll move on to something else. But it doesn't matter, we hear this shit. This is what I'm talking about, part of the cultural programming and societal programming and all of this. Well, I don't know about you, but I was always taught that, you're out there, and even in spiritual circles, it's taught that if I just find that one particular significant other, there'll be a sense of wholeness. Good luck with that. Let me know how that works out for you. Here, Captain's going to give you a little teaser, a little tidbit. There isn't a single fucking human being who will be able to complete you. Hate to tell you that. They can add to, complement you, but they're not going to be able to complete you. Here's another little clue. You're already complete. Here's a heads up. Once you've started and you start admitting, you start looking for answers, All right, and the answers aren't going to be found in things, drugs, sex, rock and roll, relationships. And here's another one. All right, you're not going to find it in religion either. Because what I'm talking about is a spirituality. Spirituality is, by definition, having a present experience with a power greater than yourself. Okay, you know, this whole environment that we live in, this planet that we live in, you are a part of that, whether you want to admit it or not. How can I put this? Maybe I better hold off on that for a bit. But I would encourage you to search, and finding spiritual solutions. All right. Is gonna take you many places. Some people are gonna look in religion, and that's fine. That worked for a while for the captain, but my experience with the power greater than myself has taken me beyond the boundaries of dogma and, how can I put this? I have a present and living experience with the source. Now, see, I'm going to use some words here like God, okay, the source, the universe. We all have different labels, and whatever label you're comfortable with. we use labels to define our experience with a power greater than ourselves. But I do want to warn you on the application of labels, because labels are inhibiting. We use them to define our experience, but many times we end up making a box out of that definition, and the God of our understanding only exists and works in this box. Well, Captain's had a lot of boxes. Captain's had a lot of boxes blow up. But there's no time like the present. No matter what's going on in your life, presently in your circumstance, you can make a change. You can start that journey. See, the most important thing about a spiritual journey, one, first you have to admit that something ain't right. There's more. There's more to this than knocking yourself out, and trying to please everyone. And don't get me wrong, it's important that we participate in the relationships that we have, whether it's with your husband or your wife or your children or any of these things. These things are all important. But if you do not have the power to engage in these relationships from a source that's beyond your own, it's going to get very exhausting mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. So, as I was saying, in your spiritual journey, the most important thing is first to fucking start. All right, you have to recognize something ain't right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with me. Well, there might be, and there is, But despite all of that, the God of my understanding chooses to manifest itself through me and my experience, even though sometimes I'm a very poor example or reflection of that. But it's important that you start the journey, that you continue the journey. It's an ongoing thing. And like I said, the first step is you just have to admit that that I'm missing something, that there's something lacking in my life, and despite all of my efforts, they have availed me nothing. So now I search for spiritual solutions to everything. Why? Well, because, you see, the only thing I have power over, the only thing that I have the ability to manage, despite all the fucking programming, the only thing I have power over or manageability over is being able to guide my responses to life's circumstances. That's the only thing I got power or manageability over. Let that settle in your little stink pot there on top of your head. Because you see, I have to choose each day to continue this journey and to continue to seek spiritual answers for what's going on in my life. And I choose to do that, and I've been doing it for quite some time now, and I'm forever grateful for all those that have played a part in it, and I'm extremely grateful to the God of my understanding for guiding me in this journey. I can continue to study and pursue and meditate on these things, because without it, I got no hope. I'm right back to where I began, where I ain't got no hope. I'm standing there confused, because we're always there's always going to be chaos, all right, and I'm going to throw something out here, because chaos is an important part of creation, and I'll probably go on into that later, but I want to deal with this first step. That first, you have to admit that there's something wrong, and part of that journey is you try to look for someone that is on a spiritual journey. Ask questions. There's no fucking stupid questions. Just ask questions. I don't know anybody that's a pilgrim on a journey that will not share their experience. And you take with what resonates, okay, and leave what doesn't. You're already in a place. You already understand that whatever's going on right here and now, this shit ain't working. Whatever it is, that there's something missing. Well, there is, and you're not. And here's another clue for you on this searching after you admitted that there's something wrong. Is, I'm going to tell you, you can read all the fucking books you want. You can watch all the fucking YouTube videos. You can play all the fucking whatever popular mystic meditative music there is. And although those are great and wonderful aids and they help, All right. Here's a little clue. The answer is within, my friend. Everything you're searching for is within you. Now, there'll be things from without that will help guide you in this process, but the answers and the solutions are within you. Well, I don't know if this helped any or not, but if you have any questions, you can always stop and ask the captain or send private message me on a fuckbook, or if you have my number, you can give me a call. But all right, mateys, have a grand fucking day.